This is the Mickey Miles and More podcast, your one stop for information on Disney races, Disney vacations, Disney theme parks, and more. Now, here are your hosts for the Mickey Miles and More podcast, Michelle Scribner-McLean, Chris Eliopoulos, and Mike Scopa.
Welcome, Milers, to another episode of Mickey Miles and More. I am your host, Chris Eliopoulos. As always, with me is the lovely and talented Michelle Scribner-McLean.
Oh, you swerved. I thought you were going to say Mike again. Hello from Andy's room. How are you?
Very nice. So,
I have a shout out.
Bring it on.
It is to my friend and almost legal age, Justin Eliopoulos. Is one of Chris's wonderful sons, and I have been amazed just at his work as an EMT during this whole coronavirus thing. No, it's hard on the parents, but he's it just gives me hope about the next generation. I just think it's amazing that he's been doing all this great work and his compassion. And
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
shout out to Justin.
I will say, I'm going to give you guys a surprise that we haven't talked about this anywhere yet, but so I'm working with Marvel. We're going to do a little something for Justin. We're turning him into a superhero.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to be it's going to be a video event. I don't know if it's going to go on Disney Plus or not, but we're going to be doing this. We're celebrating the first responders and stuff like that. So they asked me to talk about Justin. So we're going to talk about him, and I'm going to draw up Justin as a superhero. So he'll be part of the Marvel.
Oh, that's amazing.
So.
And shout out to the parents who raised him and support him too.
Woo! Well, thank you. Also, like I said, with us is the lovely and talented Michael Scopa. Hi, Michael. How's everything?
Hi, Chris. Hi, Michelle. Let's get right to the attraction quote. You ready?
Yes, go.
First day of school, time for school.
Oh, I know this one.
Wow, that was quick.
I know this one.
So bring it on.
All right. It's Finding Nemo, the musical. Mr. Ray! He's a science teacher. Why wouldn't I know that one?
All aboard. Time for school.
And it's from the musical, right?
Yeah. Did you do that just for me? Yeah, just from. Well, I think it's from the movie too. But
is it? Okay. Because I was going to say I've only seen the production once.
Oh my God! I've seen. I love it.
But I was barely able to get the kids in. That's why. Like they were just getting on that cusp of like, but they were hot, so they wanted to just sit down in the air conditioning. So I got them in there.
We have a funny family story where the bubbles were coming down, and one of the bubbles got into his eyes, and he completely freaked out. He's walking around going, "Ah!" Love. Every time we go in there, we go, "Oh!" I love that musical.
Yeah, I have to go back and see it again. So as we teased in the last episode, today we're going to talk a little bit about RunDisney, what their plans are, what has happened so far, and basically how we're getting along not having any runs planned. And Mike, as some may have known and not known, had knee replacement surgery. So he's been hard at work trying to get that thing working. So Mike, I guess the first question should be to you and say, how are you feeling? How's your knee functioning? Can you tell us how you came back from knee surgery? Like, what did it take and what were you doing?
Wow. It's a work in progress. The fact about a knee replacement is that it's different for everyone. What I experience may not be something that someone else would experience. There's a lot that depends upon what your condition is prior to the operation, your age, and all that kind of stuff. It takes a while. It's really interesting because one thing that a friend of mine said is that she said, when you get it, you won't recognize your knee, and it's like someone else's knee is in there. It takes a while. It takes a while to build up flexibility and strength. And I'm working on a treadmill every day. I try to, and I don't believe I'm going to be able to run again. My doctor said, no more running, no more jumping, unless you want to go through that again. And I don't want to go through that again. So we'll see. You never know. You never know. It's just a case of being very patient and thinking that I'm better off now than what I was before. It was to take care of an injury that happened almost 40 years ago. So I've been running with that injury for 40 years. So
wow.
think I've had a pretty good running life, so I'm
So that's it for running. Are you going to take up like biking or Pilates or yoga or something?
depending upon how far I go, maybe power walking, maybe biking. I'm not giving up on anything. I'm going to try to be as active as I can. It just takes a while to figure out what my threshold is every week. Every week I try to nudge myself a little bit more, and when my knee says no, not yet, I back it off.
You got to listen to your body,
There's
right?
something to be said for those 5Ks too, you know?
Yeah,
You
I
can
mean,
walk,
Not doing
run.
not doing the distance.
yeah.
You could still be involved in the Run Disney experience.
So if anybody has any questions on knee replacements,
You're the source.
but one of the sources, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So Michelle, I know I don't think you had any Disney runs planned in the near future before this. But what have you been doing to sort of stay healthy? And are you still running?
I am running. I'm not running more than like an hour at a time, but I could be a spokesperson for Peloton because I bought a Peloton bike in November and then moved, and part of the first thing I had delivered in my new condo was a Peloton treadmill. So now I have the whole Peloton experience. So I've been doing boot camps and throughout the really crappy spring New England weather, I've been exercising. I am on a 202-day exercise streak. So I've exercised every day for 202 days. And I think I mentioned before that I lost a little over 40 pounds. So I am raring to go now. I feel like I want to tackle that next Disney race, kind of looking on the horizon. I feel like I'm in I'm in a really good position to do it again. And I'd love to see what running a marathon or half marathon with 40 fewer pounds would be like. But another thing that I've been doing is really incorporating some other stuff, yoga, a lot of strength training, things like that. So I'm ready.
You did Orange Theory for a while. Did they change anything up? Did you stop going? I mean, obviously you stopped going, but did you?
Well, they closed, yeah.
But did they do at-home classes or anything like that?
They did at-home classes, but the Peloton ones are much better than what they were offering around here. And they're opening up again, but it's just, it just doesn't seem very safe to me. So I've quit Orange Theory as much as I enjoyed it. Yep. And I'm very, very happy with the Peloton content, and it's expensive stuff, but it's worth it to me, and I really enjoy it, and other people in the family can use the content too. So there's meditation and stuff like that. But anyway, in terms of Run Disney, I'm ready. I don't know what a Run Disney event is going to look like in the future, but I am ready to go. What about you?
So we had scheduled, we were going to run the Star Wars Kessel Run, I guess, but we scheduled to do that whole big thing. Since they're not doing Disneyland races, they haven't been. It was the virtual race, the virtual half, and then you would go down there, and we were going to do the 10K, and the half. Obviously, that got canceled. But I had built up. I ran the virtual. I got my medal. I should have brought it down with me. It was a cool medal. But they did refund everything when it came to the Disney, to the other part. They charged me for the virtual race, which was like $50 or something, $50-$60. But I got the medal. We were actually doing it because we wanted to get the Millennium Falcon medal. So we were kind of a little disappointed that we didn't get that. But disappointed that we didn't get to race. Totally understood it. So we're trying to plan what race we want to do. We were thinking that we might want to do Wine and Dine, but I doubt they're going to do anything. So maybe I'll.
Were you signed up for Wine and Dine?
No, not yet. And then we were talking about, do we do marathon weekend? What's coming up? But Mike, when do you think they're going to, they're talking about the parks opening, but Run Disney is a whole other beast. We're talking corrals. We're talking about water stations. We're talking about close quarters everywhere you go. The expo. Mike, when are they going to have another Run Disney event?
Porta potties.
Well, the thing is, Chris, this is like another wait and see. I mean, if you go on the Run Disney site, there's really not much being said or put out there for the 2020 races. Everything is focused on January, but who knows? When it comes to social distancing, let's face it, the worst thing to do is to go to a Disney race. When you have 23 to 25,000 people running, you have corrals from A to P, and within each corral you have waves, and there are easily 50 to maybe 150 people in each corral. And then you said there's the expo and just the crowds when you're running, and the water stops, just everything.
When you get your medal, the volunteers. You know?
That's right,
Yeah.
Michelle. The medics, if you get hurt, there are so many aspects of the Run Disney experience that is completely different from a lot of other races. The closeness, the proximity to people. How about when we finish, we get our medals and we're walking out into the crowd, the waiting area, and you're looking for your friend, your relative, or whatever. It's just so crowded. And the other thing to keep in mind is that, would they have a Run Disney weekend if they weren't able to open up all the restaurants? Because runners are hungry, they need to eat. So I personally am not sure what's going to happen in January. I think the earliest Run Disney event we will see may be the Princess Half weekend. That's in February, and by then maybe we'll have a vaccine. Maybe there'll be some other things in place.
Yeah, I tend to think a vaccine is going to be the way to go with it when it comes. I mean, could you imagine, marathon weekend trying to take the temperature of 25,000 people? I mean, that's just got to be insane.
Yeah, but so if they decide to cancel January, when people are already starting to train for the marathon,
I know they
early
have to
on,
announce.
but when would they announce? When would it be fair to announce?
I would say, Michelle, they would have to consider announcing prior to sometime between Halloween and Thanksgiving. I think back way 10, 15 years ago, November seemed to be the first 2 weeks in November seemed to be the time frame when they would make announcements for January. So I think that maybe they'll just go back to that and say, they'll hold out hope until they know for sure. Maybe prior to that, there'll be some indication that, it just isn't going to work. And, they will cancel, but I would hope that they would announce it plenty of time for people to.
So, the reason why I ask is because we all know the Boston Marathon is Patriots Day, April, and they postponed it in March. They postponed it till September. And then in May, they canceled it. So that's June, July, August, September. That's, 4 months away. So if they took the same approach at Disney, it would be, very early in the fall.
Yeah, they haven't announced Wine and Dine, have they, or did they?
If you go on the Run Disney site, I don't know if it's even listed. The other thing I wanted to mention is I don't know if this would be the case, but would the CDC have any say in this? I don't know.
No, they just make recommendations.
No, they just make recommendations.
Yeah. It would be the state of Florida, probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so we know that they make a pretty nice amount of money for these things, Michelle. I noticed that they're starting to talk about more virtual runs. Is that something you're interested in doing? I mean, you get the medal. We always talk about the medal is like the bling is the way to go, but we miss the experience of being in the parks.
Right.
Is that a good substitute for you to do a virtual run?
By the way, before I answer that, I'm looking at Run Disney, and the Wine and Dine Half Marathon is still on. So it's 146 days away, November 5th through 8th weekend, and it's still on. Chris, it's interesting because I would have said last year, absolutely not. That, just like you guys, I have so many medals, but it's the same thing as to why I watch Disney Plus pretty much every night and why I talk to you guys about Disney. I miss the connection to Disney. And I think at this point, I probably would consider a virtual run to sort of have that connection to other people who are, running a Disney event. So
Right.
I think I absolutely would. What about you?
Well, I've technically done one. If you think about it, we did one on the old show. I did the first virtual run where I did a bunch of runs. I forget which one. I don't know if they were half marathons or a half marathon, whatever it was. It's fine. It's not that exciting for me. I've got a ton of medals. Like at this point, I'm almost ready to give them away.
Yeah.
But I miss the actual running through parks, and I miss the camaraderie of running with. I mean, as much as I'm tripping over people half the time going through Cone Alley or something like that, there's something to be said about going through that together and seeing people in the parks with the medals or the shirts on, and you want to have that shared experience. I think that's what it is. The shared experience is what gets me going.
So like, what would you have to do to have that happen? So for people who don't know, Cone Alley is when you get out of the Magic Kingdom and you're running from the Magic Kingdom to the Grand Floridian and back to Epcot. It's always very congested. Could we do that, or how might they modify that?
Yeah. I don't know. Like that's, it's so weird. It's like, what are their options? I mean, we always talk about like, so how much does it cost to make these weekends happen versus how much money they make? There's a profit and loss back and forth, right? So with the virtual races, it's pretty great. I mean, you spend $60, you get a medal. Disney buys the medal, at cost for like $20, and they make some money. For these races, if they were to go down a certain threshold, they're not going to make money. So even limiting the amount of people that you would have at a race or anything like that, I don't know. So
I'm looking at the Run Disney website. All the virtual races are sold out.
So people are interested.
The 5K Mad Tea Party 5K sold out. The virtual 5K Space Mountain sold out. The Haunted Mansion 5K sold out, and the Run Disney Virtual Challenge, also $145, also sold out.
Wow.
The Star Wars half marathon sold out. That actually was, and then of course the Castle Run. But Wine and Dine is sold out. The whole marathon weekend is sold out, and Princess says it's opening soon.
Wow. So Mike, any thoughts like on Wine and Dine now that it's still on?
So first off, we don't even know if the Food and Wine Festival will be held.
Right.
And if that's not held, then my guess is that Wine and Dine will not be held. And I just thought of something else. I can't recall within the last 90, maybe 120 days of any major marathon or half marathon that's been held. I know that the BAA, Michelle, that we've done the BAA medley where you've got the 5K, 10K half marathon, and they were all canceled. And my thought is this: if the New York City Marathon, which is held, I believe, in October,
November.
Mm-hmm.
If they announce that they're going to cancel, then I wonder if that will be a cue for Run Disney to cancel. I don't know. I'm just wondering what would be a catalyst for Run Disney to finally make a decision.
So all these race directors know each other. John Hughes, who is the race director for the Disney races, and the director of the Boston Marathon, Dave McGilvery. They all know each other.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm wondering if there's some sort of a running protocol that they're developing. Like supermarkets have protocols and airports have protocols. I wonder if they're developing a running protocol.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We talked. You had mentioned earlier that your a personal trainer, right? I believe has to wear a mask while she's working. She said it actually
my physical therapist, who's a runner. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wearing that mask for so long kind of limits the amount of oxygen you get, and her speed has slowed down, right? Her mileage.
It's slowed down by a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, can you imagine trying to run a marathon at Disney World in the heat with a mask on? If that's what they require, I mean,
and you never know what January is going to bring. I've run in 80-degree temperatures, and I've run in 38-degree temperatures in January down there.
Granted,
so you never
snow
know.
At one point one year.
Yeah.
So Michelle, was that another indication that they have to rethink? I mean, I guess New York hasn't canceled yet, but there haven't been any races at all run, like not even 5Ks or 10Ks or. So I'm surprised to hear that they haven't at least called Wine and Dine. I think they're just, again, the same thing. Training, people have to train if they're,
Well, and when they sold Wine and Dine, they sold it to capacity, right? So they didn't sell it with the idea that there was going to be a global pandemic. So we are talking 20,000+ people. So how are they going to manage that? They're going to be 72 corrals. Is it going to be over? Yeah. Is there going to be a morning half marathon and a midday and a nighttime half marathon? I can't imagine the logistics behind all of that.
Well, I don't know. So I think we're going to have to leave it there for now. I think we should probably just like the other episodes where we talk about the parks opening, we should kind of check in once in a while and see what the Run Disney groups are doing and sort of wrap it around and see what we're doing. So, so folks, if you like what you're hearing and seeing, I mean, I know my face is just gorgeous to look at. I mean, it's well enough for a subscribe down below. But if you do like the conversations, if you do love Disney, Run Disney, we sure would appreciate you doing a little, as Mike is saying down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the like. It really helps us a lot. We appreciate you listening in and viewing us. And we will catch you on the next show. On behalf of Mike Scopa, Michelle Scribner-McLean, I'm Chris Eliopoulos. Keep running.